7-day station, beholding the manifestation. It's time to renew your mind and rise.
This is the Hodo Show and the other Viewpoint, and I am your brother, if there is no other. I'm Hodo. Who are you? Calling you on the air. Can you handle it? I don't think you really want to know. I'll tell you later. Caller, you on the air? Thank you, little brother. Not only is the beat on time, but it also has something for your mind. Because we've been waiting to get together for so long, but we just couldn't seem to find the right song to come together on. Caller, you on the air?
Lead just a step to the right. Come on, lead just a step to the left. Yeah, lead just say now break it down. Lead just say now rise it up. Now rise. Now rise.
Here's another hot joke for the 004. Legion!
All my queens, put your hands in the air. All my kings, put your hands in the air. All my queens, put your hands in the air. All my kings, put your hands in the air. Now walk with me.
The hot joint for the 004. Legion!
Lead just a step to the left. Come on, lead just a step to the right. Come on, lead just say now break it down. Come on, lead just say now rise it up. Rise. Now rise. Get up. Get up, get up.
Now hide your pockets. Are you still broke? Get up!
Radio. What a brother know. Radio. What a brother know. It's time to rise. 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 It's time to rise.
All right, I want to welcome you, of course, to another installment of the Hodo Show and the Other Viewpoint. And I am your brother, if there is no other. I'm Hodo. Who are you? Tonight is February 14th, 2021. We are going to be discussing the origin of Black History Month. And the reason for that is because so many of our people, I've heard it my whole life. Why did they give us the shortest month of the year? Why did they had nothing to do with it? And we're going to show you about that tonight. Also going to be giving you a little history on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because for some strange reason, African Americans want to leave him out of the discussion. And I'll let you know why later. Also, we're going to be giving you some footage to listen to of black inventors, as well as some women who were black inventors, and a whole lot more tonight on the Hodo Show and the Other Viewpoint. So we want to make sure that you tune in. And first and foremost, let me give you the call-in line so that when we get ready to take phone calls, you already have it. Write it down. 313-334-5909. That's 313-334-5909. One more time. 313-334-5909. Also want to let you learn about our sponsor, RCE Notary. That's RCE Notary. For your notarizing needs here in Michigan. If you need that paper to have that special touch to make sure it's valid so that it's legally true blue, hey, call RCE Notary at 248-861-9212. That's 248-861-9212. One more time, 248-861-9212. That's here in Michigan, y'all. Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. RCE Notary. Hey, you need those documents to be notarized so that they'll hold some weight. RCE Notary, preferably in the southeastern Michigan area. You know, Wayne County, Oakland County. And, hey, you, and especially you here in the Detroit area, call RCE Notary. One of those businesses that you want to support from now and from now on. All right. So as we get ready to kick in with this thing, we're going to give you some history of Black History Month. But first, I want you to hear about some black inventors. That's where we're going to go with this thing first and foremost. And again, you'll be able to call in. You'll be able to comment. And we got a few other things we're going to talk about as well. And, every week I try to give you something positive about a black man, right? Well, since I'm doing black inventors, that covers that. It's a whole lot positive about black men in the midst of that. And we're going to also do separately a portion on just black women inventors. So stay locked in for that. We're going to talk about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We're going to give you the origin of Black History Month and a whole lot more. Stay locked in. Right about now, we're going to get set up to give you that portion talking about black inventors. And that's how we're going to kick things off for the night. And we're going to start with that. And then we'll be back at you. So stay locked in. Don't go anywhere. This is, of course, the Hodo Show and the Other Viewpoint.
Creating inventions that have had a major impact on our everyday lives. From agriculture to medicine, from science to technology, African American men and women have left their mark in American and world history. Let's take a look at some of the Black inventors, both past and present, who have left an indelible mark on the world in which we live. In the Stevie Wonder song Black Man, the Motown Marvel sings of Benjamin Banneker. First clock to be made in America was created by a black man. Though the song is a fitting salute to a great inventor and African Americans in general, it only touches on the genius of Benjamin Banneker and the many hats he wore as a farmer, mathematician, astronomer, author, and land surveyor. But it was his clock invention that really propelled the reputation of Benjamin Banneker. Sometime in the early 1750s, Benjamin borrowed a pocket watch from a wealthy acquaintance, took the watch apart, and studied its components. After returning the watch, he created a fully functioning clock entirely out of carved wooden pieces, all at the young age of 21. The clock was amazingly precise and would keep on ticking for decades. As a result of the attention his self-made clock received, Banneker was able to start up his own watch and clock repair business. Every time a person crunches into a potato chip, he or she is enjoying the delicious taste of one of the world's most famous snacks, a treat that might not exist without the contribution of Black inventor George Crumb. Crumb, the son of an African-American father and a Native American mother, was working as a chef in the summer of 1853 when he accidentally invented the chip. It all began when a patron who ordered a plate of French fried potatoes sent them back to Crumb's kitchen because he felt they were too thick and soft. To teach the picky patron a lesson, Crumb sliced a new batch of potatoes as thin as he possibly could and then fried them until they were hard and crunchy. Finally, to top them off, he added a generous heaping of salt. But to Crumb's surprise, the dish ended up being a hit with the patron and a new snack was born. Years later, Crumb opened his own restaurant that had a basket of potato chips on every table. Though Crumb never attempted to patent his invention, the snack was eventually mass-produced and sold in bags, providing thousands of jobs nationwide. Generally, when people think of famous African-American inventors, one of the first names that comes to mind is George Washington Carver. Perhaps most famously, Carver discovered over 300 different uses for peanuts, including making cooking oil, axle grease, and printer's ink. Despite the positive impact George Washington Carver's inventions had on the South, the inventor never sought out glory. Instead, he continued to invent, discover, and teach in order to make the world a better place. Inscribed on his tombstone is the epitaph, "He could have added fortune to fame, but caring for neither, he found happiness and honor in being helpful to the world." Many of the world's famous inventors only produced one major invention that garnered recognition and cemented their prominent status. But Garrett Augustus Morgan, one of the country's most successful African-American inventors, actually created two major inventions: the gas mask and the traffic signal. He received a patent for the first gas mask invention in 1914, but it wasn't until 2 years later that the idea really took off. When a group of workers got stuck in a tunnel below Lake Erie after an explosion, Morgan and a team of men donned the mask to help get them out. After the rescue was a success, requests for the mask began pouring in. Garrett Morgan's other famous invention, the traffic signal, was also invented to help save lives. After witnessing an accident on a roadway, Morgan decided a device was needed to keep cars, buggies, and pedestrians from colliding. His traffic signal was designed to stand on a street corner and notify vehicles and walkers whether they should stop or go. After receiving a patent in 1923, the rights to the invention were eventually purchased by General Electric. Now, there is one invention that he's less famous for. Morgan created the first chemical hair straightening cream, better known today as hair relaxers. Anytime you see a truck on the highway transporting refrigerated or frozen food, you're seeing the work of Frederick McKinley Jones. One of the most prolific Black inventors ever, Jones patented more than 60 inventions in his lifetime. While more than 40 of the patents were in the field of refrigeration, Jones is most famous for inventing an automatic refrigeration system for long-haul trucks and railroad cars. In addition to the refrigerator invention, Jones also invented an air conditioning unit for military field hospitals and a refrigerator for military field kitchens. But his inventions don't end there. Jones actually invented a self-starting gas engine. He also invented a series of devices for movie projectors and for box office equipment that gave tickets and made change for movie patrons. Jones was posthumously awarded the National Medal of Technology in 1991, the first Black inventor to ever receive such an honor. It's literally impossible to determine how many hundreds of thousands of people would have lost their lives without the contributions of African-American inventor Dr. Charles Drew. This physician, researcher, and surgeon revolutionized the understanding of blood plasma, leading to the invention of blood banks. There are few inventors who've had the lasting impact of Otis Boykin. Look around your house today and you'll see a variety of devices that utilize components made by Boykin, including computers, radios, and TV sets. Boykin's inventions are all the more impressive when one considers he was an African American in a time of segregation, and the field of electronics was not as well established as it is today. Though he attended the Illinois Institute of Technology for a time, Boykin never made it to graduation because he couldn't afford the tuition. Instead, Boykin went to work as an inventor. He received his first patent in 1959 for a wire resistor that allowed a precise amount of electricity to flow to a component. Because he was able to create a low-cost product that was more reliable, his wire resistor invention brought Boykin to the forefront of American electronics. Consumer electronics manufacturers, the United States military, and IBM all placed orders for the resistor. It would come to be used in household appliances, computers, and guided missiles, and is still used in many of those devices to this very day. But perhaps most importantly, a version of his resistor was used in the invention of the pacemaker. That device, which keeps the heart beating regularly through electronic pulses, has helped to extend the lives of hundreds of thousands of individuals. While home security systems today are more advanced than ever, back in 1966, the idea of a home surveillance device seemed almost unthinkable. That was the year famous African-American inventor Marie Van Britten Brown and her partner, Albert Brown, applied for an invention patent for a closed-circuit television security system. A female Black inventor that was far ahead of her time, Marie created an invention that was first in a long string of home security inventions that continue to flood the market today. 90% of the microphones used today are based on the ingenuity of James Edward West, an African-American inventor born in 1931 in Prince Edward County, Virginia. If you've ever talked on the telephone, you've probably used this invention. Dr. West and a colleague, Gerhard Sessler, developed the mic, officially known as the electroacoustic transducer electric microphone. That's a mouthful. They received a patent for it in 1962. The device is used in most telephones, tape recorders, and other important devices. Another living legend, Kenneth J. Dunkley, is currently the president of the Hollow Space Laboratories Incorporated in Pennsylvania. He is best known for inventing three-dimensional viewing glasses, also known as 3D. His patented invention displays 3D effects from regular 2D photos without any type of lenses, mirrors, or optical elements. By studying human vision, Dunkley discovered that blocking 2 points in a person's peripheral vision will cause an ordinary picture to appear three-dimensional. Inventor George Edward Alcorn has an impressive resume. Among his credits, the African-American inventor received a bachelor's in physics, a master's degree in nuclear physics, and a PhD in atomic and molecular physics. Despite such impressive credentials, Alcorn is probably most famous for his innovation of the imaging X-ray spectrometer, a device that helps scientists better understand what materials are composed of when they cannot be broken down. Born and raised in Monroe, Louisiana, the young Betty Harris was interested in chemistry. At college, she obtained a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Southern University and an MS degree in chemistry from Atlanta University. As a research chemist, Betty Harris worked in the areas of hazardous waste treatment and environmental restoration facilities contaminated with energetic materials such as propellants and gun propellants and explosives. She eventually became a noted expert in the chemistry of explosives. Through her research, Harris obtained a patent for her invention for a spot test for identifying explosives in a field environment. Imagine with me for a moment. Imagine living in a world ranging from hazy, clouded vision to that of total darkness for 30 years. Before 1985, that was the plight of those with cataracts who did not want to risk surgery with a mechanical grinder, popular in the day. Now imagine sitting in a doctor's office without being able to see her as she explains to you that it may be possible to restore your vision. Dr. Patricia Bath has dedicated her life to the treatment and prevention of visual impairments. Her personal belief is that everyone has the right to sight, and that led to her invention in 1985 of a specialized tool and procedure for the removal of cataracts called the laser Phaco probe. The laser Phaco probe has increased the accuracy and results of cataract surgery, which had previously been performed manually with a mechanical grinder. The difference between the old method and the new invention was the difference between the use of highly accurate laser technology versus the somewhat subjective accuracy of a mechanical device. Did you ever think of what it might be like if your television could project an on-screen image directly into your living room as a three-dimensional image? Maybe not, but if it happens, you may have Valerie Thomas to thank for it. From 1964 to 1995, Thomas worked in a variety of capacities for NASA, where she developed real-time computer data systems, conducted large-scale experiments, and managed various operations, projects, and facilities. While managing a project for NASA's image processing systems, Thomas's team spearheaded the development of Landsat, the first satellite to send images from space. Always with an eye to the future, Thomas began experimenting on an illusion transmitter in 1977, and it was patented in 1980. This brilliant innovation placed Thomas among the most prominent Black inventors of the 20th century. NASA continues to use her technology and is exploring ways to use it in surgical tools and possibly television and video. Dr. Shirley Jackson, a theoretical physicist, has been credited with making many advances in science. Dr. Jackson attended MIT, where she received a bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree, all in the field of physics. Jackson started to conduct successful experiments in theoretical physics and then started to use her knowledge in physics to start making advances in telecommunications while working at Bell Laboratories. These inventions include developments in the portable fax, touch-tone telephone, solar cell, and the fiber optic cables used to provide clarity in overseas telephone calls. She has also helped make possible caller ID and call waiting. An anonymous source set up the Super Soaker. I got fired from a job once because of my super soaker. I guess that's what happens when you accidentally drench a customer when you're trying to get a coworker who ducks. Famous Black inventor and scientist Lonnie G. Johnson probably didn't have that little scenario in mind when he invented the super soaker squirt gun, but it is one of the countless memories that can be recalled by those who were young enough to enjoy the super soaker after its release in 1989. Johnson's resume boasts work with the U.S. Air Force and NASA, including work on the Galileo, Jupiter probe, and Mars Observer project, a nomination for astronaut training, and more than 40 patents, but it's the squirt gun that he's best known for. As a child, Mark Dean excelled in math. In elementary school, he took advanced level math courses, and in high school, Dean even built his own computer, radio, and amplifier. Dean continued his interests and went on to obtain a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and PhD, all in electrical engineering. Dr. Dean started working at IBM in 1980 and was instrumental in the invention of the personal computer and the computer monitor. He holds 3 of IBM's original 9 PC patents and currently holds more than 20 total patents. This famous African-American inventor never thought the work that he was doing would end up being so useful to the world, but he has helped IBM make instrumental changes in areas ranging from the research and application of systems technology to operating environments. One of his most recent computer inventions occurred while leading the team that produced the 1 gigahertz chip. Even in high school, John Henry Thompson was interested in computer programming languages, and he taught himself several programming languages with the goal of absorbing as much knowledge as possible so he could develop his own computer language. He developed a number of products, many of them based on his most famous invention, Lingo programming, a scripting language that helps render visuals in computer programs. Lingo is used in the programs Macromedia and Shockwave, and with many programs that have interactive simulations with graphics, animation, sound, and video. You've benefited from Thompson's Lingo programming language if you've ever played video games, learned web design, used animation and graphics. These incredible inventors represent a small snapshot of the amazing men and women who have impacted our lives through their intelligence and ingenuity. To learn more about these and other Black inventors, get the book Black Inventors by Keith C. Holmes.
All right. So, as you see, that's just a snippet of the things that Black people have invented here in the United States. Okay? Now, by no means is that even a minute amount of inventors. Now, I played that particular segment because I wanted possibly folks to be more engaged with stuff that they can relate to right now. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff, iron and board, iron, horseshoe, that you may not, really feel like the computer, or even all you brothers in hip hop, like the condenser for the microphone and those kind of things. So that's why I played that particular segment. All right. And again, that segment was brought to you by RCE Notary. That's RCE Notary right here in Michigan and the southeastern Michigan area. RCE Notary, when you need those documents to be notarized, you need those documents so that they are legit. RCE Notary. So if you want to contact RCE Notary, 248-861-9212. They are a mobile notary company, which means they come to you. RCE Notary, 248-861-9212. 248-861-9212. Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. RCE Notary. So every time we come on, you make sure if you know somebody that needs some things notarized, give them that number, or come back and watch the show and find the number so you can give it to them. But make sure you pass that on. And this is a black-owned business. All right. Now, as this is Black History Month, I've heard many of my people telling, yeah, they gave us the shortest month of the year for our history. No, ain't nobody gave us nothing. The brother by the name of Carter G. Woodson took that month. But it didn't start off as Black History Month. Matter of fact, this is a picture of our late brother, our ancestor, Carter G. Woodson. He's also the author of the book, The Miseducation of the Negro, that I advise everybody, period, to read. Every black person should read it. Carter G. Woodson, on February 7th, 1926, initiated the first celebration of Negro History Week. It didn't start off as Black History Month. It started off as Negro History Week. And I'm here to tell you it was called Negro History Week all the way up into the 1970s. So this thing of Black History Month being called that isn't as old as you think it is. Okay, so the first celebration of Negro History Week, which led to Black History Month, to extend and deepen the study and scholarship of Black history in America all year long, here's an essay on the history and purpose of Black History Month, followed by the recommendations of articles. Anyway, Carter G. Woodson chose the month of February for Negro History Week for reasons of tradition and reform. It is commonly said Woodson selected February to encompass the birthdays of two great Americans who played a prominent role in shaping Black history, namely Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, whose birthdays are the 12th and 14th of February, respectively. More importantly, he chose them for the reasons of tradition. Since Lincoln's assassination in 1865, the black community, along with other Republicans, had been celebrating the fallen president's birthday. And since the late 1890s, black communities across the country have been celebrating Douglas's birthday. Well, aware of the pre-existing celebration, Woodson built Negro History Week around the traditional days of commemorating the black past. He was asking the public to extend their study of black history, not to create a new tradition. In doing so, he increased his chances for success. So basically, since these celebrations were already going on, and knowing the times that he was living in during 1926, by him encompassing this week around existing celebrations, it was easier for him to be able to add some study of black history without people being able to stand in the way. So it actually was a pretty smart move in him doing that. Yet Woodson was up to something more than building on tradition. Without saying so, he aimed to reform it from study of two great men to a great race. Though he admired both men, Woodson had never been fond of the celebrations held in their honor. He railed against the ignorant spellbinders who addressed large convivial gatherings and displayed their lack of knowledge about the men and their contributions to history. More importantly, Woodson believed that he was made by the people, not simply or primarily by great men. He envisioned the study and celebration of the Negro as a race not simply as the producers of a great man. And Lincoln, however great, had not freed the slaves. The Union Army, including hundreds of thousands of black soldiers and sailors, had done that. Rather than focusing on two men, the black community, he believed, should focus on countless black men and women who had contributed to the advancement of human civilization. From the beginning, Woodson was overwhelmed by the response to his call. Negro History Week appeared across the country in schools and before the public. In the 1920s was the decade the new Negro, a name given to the post-World War I generation because of its rising racial pride and consciousness. Urbanization and industrialization had brought over 1 million African Americans from the rural South into the big cities of the nation. The expanding black middle class became participants in and consumers of black literature and culture. Black history clubs sprang up. Teachers demanded material to instruct their pupils, and progressive whites stepped forward and endorsed the efforts. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, or ASALH, scrambled to meet the demand. They set a theme for the annual celebration and provided study materials, pictures, lessons for teachers, plays for historical performances, and posters of important dates and people. Provisioned with a steady flow of knowledge, high schools in progressive communities formed Negro history clubs to serve the desire of history buffs to participate in the re-education of black folks and the nation. ASALH formed branches that stretched from coast to coast. In 1937, at the urging of Mary McLeod Bethune, Woodson established the Negro History Bulletin, which focused on the annual theme. As black populations grew, mayors issued Negro History Week proclamations, and in cities like Syracuse, progressive whites joined Negro History Week with National Brotherhood Week. Like most ideas that resonate with the spirit of the times, Negro History Week proved to be more dynamic than Woodson or ASALH could control. By the 1930s, Woodson complained about the intellectual charlatans, black and white, popping up everywhere seeking to take advantage of the public interest in black history. He warned teachers not to invite speakers who had less knowledge than the students themselves. Increasingly, publishing houses that had previously ignored black topics and authors rushed to put books on the market and in schools. Instant experts appeared everywhere, and non-scholarly works appeared from mushroom presses. In America, nothing popular escapes their commercialization or eventual trivialization. And so Woodward, the constant reformer, had his hands full of promoting celebrations worthy of people who had made the history. Well, before his death in 1950, Woodson believed that the weekly celebration, not the study or the celebration of black history, would eventually come to an end. In fact, Woodson never viewed black history as a one-week affair. He pressed for schools to use Negro History Week to demonstrate what students learned all year. In the same vein, he established a Black Studies extension, or a Negro Studies extension, to reach adults through the year. It was in these it was in this sense that blacks would learn of their past on the daily basis that he looked forward to the time when an annual celebration would no longer be necessary. Generations before Morgan Freeman and other advocates of all-year commemoration, Woodson believed that Negro history was too important to America and the world to be crammed into a limited time frame. He spoke of a shift from Negro History Week to Negro History Year. In the 1940s, efforts began slowly within the Negro community to expand the study of Negro history in the schools and Negro history celebrations before the public. In the South, Negro teachers often taught Negro history as a supplement to United States history. One early beneficiary of the movement reported that his teacher would hide Woodson's textbook beneath his desk to avoid drawing the wrath of the principal. During the Civil Rights Movement in the South, the Freedom Schools incorporated Negro history into curriculums to advance social change. The Negro history movement was an intellectual insurgency that was part of every larger effort to transform the race relations. In the 1960s, a dramatic effect on study and the celebration of Negro history before the decade was over, Negro History Week would be well on its way to becoming Black History Month. The shift to a month-long celebration began before even Woodson's death. As early as the 1940s, Negroes in West Virginia, Woodson's home state, where he often spoke, began to celebrate February as Negro History Month. In Chicago, a now forgotten cultural activist, Frederick H. Hamarbari, started celebrating Negro History Month in the mid-1960s. Having taken an African name in the 1930s, Hamarbari used his cultural center, the House of Knowledge, to fuse African consciousness with the study of the Negro past. By the late 1960s, as young blacks on college campuses became increasingly conscious of the links with Africa, Black History Month replaced Negro History Week at a quickening pace. Within ASALH, younger intellectuals, part of the Awakening, probed Woodson's organization to change with the times. They succeeded. In 1976, 50 years after the first celebration, ASALH used its influence to initialize the shifts from a week to a month, and from Negro history to Black history, since in the mid-1970s, every U.S. president has used proclamations endorsing the ASALH's annual theme. What Carter G. Woodson would say about the continued celebrations is unknown, but he would smile on all efforts to make Black history a field of serious study. Again, this is a picture of Carter G. Woodson. Again, I advise you to get his book, The Miseducation of the Negro. And that's where the origins of Black History Month, whereby it transformed from being Negro History Week. And for those of you who thought it's been like that, nope. It was Negro History Week nationally until 1976. So not until 1976 did black people actually start even celebrating it for a full month. For those that do, and there's a lot of you who don't. So all that complaining about they only let us celebrate this for the shortest month of the year, they didn't have nothing to do with it. And if you are only studying about yourself the shortest month of the year, what's your problem? Huh? Libraries have always been free. And now, with the advent of technology, you can find out about everything black people have done of positivity through YouTube. You can Google it, you can Bing it, you can do anything you want to do with it and find it. It's all over the internet. I use the internet, but I also like to go to the library and look at the books, because a lot of times there's newer information. They change stuff. And it's not necessarily as told, the story is not necessarily told as it should be. I personally like older books because I know I find more information that way. Because, like, for instance, earlier today, and I'm going to get into this later, I was trying to look up Minions. You know, y'all like them little cute little yellow things with the goggles and stuff. Because y'all don't know what Minions really are, right? And someone said, well, hold on. I'm not going to believe that unless you can show it to me. And it took me a little second because they had that little cute little yellow thing up there. But I'll break down what Minions are a little bit later in the program. All right. Now, as we were talking about this Black History Month, remember, it was called Negro History Week all the way into 1976. So basically, the majority of the people of America that are black were considered to be Negroes. Even though James Brown had been made the song, said loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Even though Martin Luther King said, I am black and I am beautiful. Even though Jesse Jackson said he was black and he was proud. He was still considered to be a Negro. And the only one that brought forth the information that we were black people and could actually convince you of that was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So the whole emphasis behind it even being called Black History Month is thanks to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The whole emphasis behind you even being called a black man or a black woman, even though a lot of y'all don't even want to be called that. Because I heard some brothers the other day saying, I'm not black, I'm actually brown, because y'all don't understand the significance of being called a black man or a black woman. Some of y'all hate dark skin. It's because y'all ain't too bright. Y'all don't know no better. But anyway, we're not called black because of the tone of our skin. We're called black because of who we are. Because black is the origin of color. And all of the people of the planet come out of us. Out of our ancestors. There would be no other race of people if it had not been for black people first. And we are the originators. So let's go into the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And a lot of you see him over my head there. Right there. That's my father right there. But that's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And a lot of y'all, I don't hear nothing about no Muslims. They taught hate. Well, let's see what hate they taught. Or see what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was talking about. So, give you a little history on him. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, leader of the Nation of Islam, was born Elijah Robert Poole, October 7th, 1897. February 25th, 1975, he passed away, a day before Savior's Day. He was a religious leader who led the Nation of Islam, or the NOI, from 1934 until his death in 1975, and was known as the Messenger of Allah, or God, to the Nation of Islam and its believers. Muhammad was also the teacher and mentor to Malcolm X, Louis Farrakhan, Muhammad Ali, his son Warf Deen, Marvin Muhammad Ahmad, the Son of Man, and many others. Elijah Muhammad was born Robert Poole in Sandersville, Georgia, and the seventh of 13 children of William Poole Sr., and he lived from 1868 to 1942. He was a Baptist lay preacher and a sharecropper, and Mariah Hall was his wife, who also was the homemaker who lived from 1873 to 1958, and she was a homemaker and a sharecropper. Elijah's education ended at the 3rd grade, after which he went to work in sawmills and brickyards to support the family. He worked with his parents as a sharecropper. He was 16 years old, and he left home and began working in factories and other businesses. Elijah married Clara Evans and she lived from 1899 to 1972. He married her on March 7th of 1917. In 1923, the Poole family was among hundreds of thousands of black families forming the first great migration, leaving the oppressive and economically troubled South in search of safety and employment. Elijah later recounted that before the age of 20, he had witnessed the lynchings of 3 black men by white people. He said, "I've seen enough of the white man's brutality to last me 26,000 years." Moving his own family, parents, and siblings, Elijah and the Pooles settled in the industrial north of Hamtramck, Michigan. Through the 1920s and 30s, he struggled to find and keep work as the economy suffered the post-World War I and the Great Depression eras. During their years in Detroit, Elijah and Clara had 8 children, 6 boys and 2 girls. While he was in Detroit, Poole began taking part in various nationalist movements. He listened to Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali. In August of 1931, at the urging of his wife, Elijah attended a speech on Islam and black empowerment by Wallace Farad Muhammad, or Wallace D. Muhammad, or Wallace D. Farad, excuse me. Afterward, Poole said he approached Farad and asked if he was the Mahdi, or the Redeemer. See, that's a little bit off. That didn't happen right then. That is some inaccurate information. It had been after he had been studying with Master Farad Muhammad a while before he asked that question. Farad responded that he was, but who knows that, and instructed Elijah not to tell anyone who he is until he had left. Farad taught that blacks, as the Aboriginal black man, had a rich cultural history which was stolen from them in their enslavement. Farad stated that the black man in America could regain their freedoms through self-independence and cultivation of their own culture, education, and civilization. Elijah, having strong consciousness of both race and class issues as a result of the struggles in the South, quickly fell in step with Farad's ideology. Elijah soon became an ardent follower of Farad and joined his movement, as did his wife, several brothers, and his parents. He assumed leadership of the nation's number 2 in Chicago. His younger brother, Khalat Muhammad, became the leader of the movement's self-defense arm, or the Fruit of Islam. Farad turned over leadership of the growing Detroit group to Elijah Muhammad, and the Allah Temple of Islam changed its name to the Nation of Islam. Elijah Muhammad and Wallace Farad continued to communicate until 1934, when Wallace Farad, or Master Farad Muhammad, disappeared. Elijah succeeded him in Detroit and was named Minister of Islam. After the disappearance, Elijah Muhammad told followers that Allah had come in the person of Wallace Farad, or Master Farad Muhammad, in the flesh to share his teachings that are the salvation for his followers. In 1934, the Nation of Islam published its first newspaper, The Final Call to Islam, to educate and build membership. Children of its members attended classes newly created Muhammad University of Islam. But this soon led to challenges by boards of education in Detroit and Chicago, which considered the children truants from the public school system. So, I mean, you couldn't have, charter schools, huh? You couldn't be outside of what these other folks are doing, huh? The controversy led to the jailing of several University of Islam board members and Elijah Muhammad in 1934, and to violent confrontations with the police. Another thing that they left out of here, I don't know if I'm going to get to it yet, but Elijah Muhammad had to leave Detroit. Oh, yeah, I'm getting to that. Okay, they didn't leave it out. Muhammad was put on probation, but the university remained open. Leadership of the Nation of Islam was taken over by Elijah Muhammad and controlled the Temple number 1, but only after battles with potential leaders who wanted the position to be given to them instead of Elijah. They wanted Elijah dead. In 1935, as these battles became increasingly fierce, Muhammad left Detroit and settled his family in Chicago. Still facing death threats, Muhammad left his family there and traveled to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He left his family in Chicago and traveled to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where he founded Temple number 3, and eventually to Washington, where he founded Temple number 4. He spent much of his time in Washington reading 104 books suggested by Master Farad Muhammad at the Library of Congress. On May 8th of 1942, Elijah was arrested for failure to register for the draft during World War II, because Muslims did not believe in fighting for somebody that considered you still their slave. After he was released on bail, Muhammad fled Washington, D.C. on the advice of his attorney, who feared a lynching was coming, and returned to Chicago after a 7-year absence. Muhammad was arrested there, charged with 8 counts of sedition for instructing his followers not to register for the draft and serve in the armed forces. Found guilty, Elijah served 4 years from 1942 to 1946 at the Federal Correctional Institution in Milan, Michigan. During that time, his wife Clara and trusted aides ran the organization. Muhammad transmitted his messages and directives to the followers in letters. Following his return to Chicago, Elijah Muhammad was firmly in charge of the Nation of Islam. While Muhammad was in prison, the growth of the nation had stagnated, with fewer than 400 members remaining by the time of his release in 1946. However, through the conversion of his fellow inmates as well as renewed efforts outside prison, he was able to redouble his efforts and continue growing the nation. From 4 temples in 1946 to the Nation of Islam grew to 15 by 1955. By 1959, there was 50 temples in 22 states. Muhammad preached the new version of Islam to his followers in the nation. According to him, blacks were known as the Aboriginal Asiatic black man, and evil white devils being an grafted race that would go to oppress, have been going on to oppress people for 6,000 years. The origins of the white race would become known as Yaqub's or Jacob's history within Elijah Muhammad's teachings. He preached that the Nation of Islam's goal was to return blacks across America to their proper righteous mind. To their proper righteous mind. Now, I'm still trying, as folks have for years have said, I'm Elijah Muhammad, that Elijah Muhammad, he taught hate. So, teaching people that they're not Negroes and that they are black, trying to make them act righteous, give them a righteous state of mind, didn't tell nobody to go out and kill nobody now. He said that we fight with those who fight with us. Don't sound like no hate teaching to me, but anyway. He preached that the Nation of Islam's goal was to return blacks across America to the proper righteous mind. Much of Elijah's teachings appealed to young, economically disadvantaged Negroes, males from Christian backgrounds. Traditionally, black males wouldn't go to church because the church did not address their needs. Elijah Muhammad's program for economic development played a large part in the growth of the Nation of Islam. He purchased land and businesses to provide housing and employment for young black males. Where's the hate teaching in that? By the 1970s, the Nation of Islam owned bakeries, barbershops, coffee shops, grocery stores, laundromats, nightclubs, a printing plant, retail stores, numerous real estate holdings, a fleet of tractor and trailers, plus farmland in Michigan, Alabama, and Georgia. In 1972, the Nation of Islam took controlling interest in a bank, the Guaranteed Bank and Trust Company. The Nation of Islam owned schools, expanded until by 1974. The group established schools in 47 cities throughout the United States. In 1972, the told followers of the Nation of Islam had a net worth of at least $75 million. Written works of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, meaning the books that he wrote, The Supreme Wisdom, Volume 1 and 2, which came out in 1957, Message to the Black Man in America in 1965, How to Eat to Live, Volume 1 in 1967, How to Eat to Live, Volume 2 in 1972, The Fall of America in 1973, Our Savior Has Arrived in 1974, and The Flag of Islam in 1974. On January 30th, 1975, Muhammad entered Mercy Hospital in Chicago, Illinois, suffering from a combination of heart disease, diabetes, bronchitis, and asthma. He there passed of congested heart failure nearly 1 month later at the age of 77 on February 25th, 1975, the day before Savior's Day. Let's see. During the time as the leader of the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had developed the Nation of Islam from a small movement in Detroit to an empire consisting of banks, restaurants, stores across 46 cities in America. The nation also owned 15,000 acres of farmland, their own truck and air transport system, as well as publishing company that printed the country's largest black paper. As the leader, Muhammad served as mentor to notable members including Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Louis Farrakhan, and his son Wallace. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Martin Luther King Jr. met and discussed having a convention with both men at the forefront. This never happened. Soon after said meeting, Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered. The Nation of Islam is estimated to have had between 20,000 and 50,000 members and 130 mosques covering over numerous social programs. You know, a lot of people give credit to the Latchkey program to the Black Panthers, but this was going on even before the Black Panthers. This is a picture of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So, because of him teaching us that we were the Aboriginal black man, that's whereby it caught on that we were black people. And for those who, well, we ain't black. Well, when you look up the word Kemet, which is the predecessor to the name of Egypt, when you look up the word Kemet, that's what Egypt was called before it became Egypt. The word Kemet means land of the blacks. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that he was giving us back our minds or giving us back the history of ourselves, that's one of the things that was in fulfillment of history or even prophecy for that matter. Okay, so as you see, even the naming or the name change from Negro History Week to Black History Month, even the name of it is due to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Might not like it, but it's actual and factual. All right. We're going to give you a little more from the Black Inventors. And this time, we want to give you black women who were inventors. And I think that's that one. And we're going to do that momentarily. Let's see. Nope, that's not the right one. Back to the other one. That's the one I just played. I don't want to play the same thing again. There we go. I'm going to give you 10 black women who were inventors. And you may hear a repeat of 2 of the ones that were said on the other one. So actually it's 8 that we're going to give you. But just want you to check it out and see if you knew about any of these ladies, our sisters, our ancestors, and our elders.
We here at Black Excellence specialize in illuminating the experience and contributions of African Americans, which is the foundation of our channel.
And this is courtesy of
We're
Black
particularly
Excellence.
keen on pointing out the ingenuity, innovation, and creativity of Black women who have transformed this world in ways that few can believe. It is essential for the Black community, as well as white America, to understand the impact of Black women pioneers, entrepreneurs, and inventors from our past. Our aspiring grade school student will not read much about these women in the history books. So we hope you take the time to celebrate these trailblazers who may inspire them and help propel their dreams forward. In this original Black Excellence video, we will be featuring 10 African American women whose inventions changed the world. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 1, Patricia Bath, pioneer in ophthalmology. Patricia Bath's name is associated with many amazing feats and pioneering works from childhood till her death in 2019. Bath was born to Rupert Bath and Gladys Bath on November 4, 1942 in Harlem, New York. Although her parents were not rich, they encouraged her to pursue academic interests and explore new cultures. Her interest in science peaked when she got a chemistry set as a gift. She worked hard in her academic pursuits and made discoveries that earned her the Mademoiselle's Magazine Merit Award in 1960. Bath earned her bachelor's degree from Hunter College in 1964 and her medical degree with honors from Howard University in 1968. Bath began to pursue a fellowship in ophthalmology at Columbia University. During the course of her studies there, she discovered that African Americans were twice as likely to suffer from blindness and 8 times more likely to suffer from glaucoma. These findings motivated her to invent devices and systems to change the outcomes. One of her brilliant inventions is the laser phaco probe, for which she became the first African American female doctor to hold a patent for a medical device. The device, which was completed in 1986, provided a less painful and precise treatment of cataracts using laser technology, and she received the patent for it in 1988. With the device, Bath was able to restore the sight of people with about 30 years of blindness, thus pioneering laser eye surgery as known today. She also pioneered community ophthalmology clinics during her residency years and co-founded the American Institute for the Prevention of Blindness in 1976, which established that eyesight is a basic human right. Bath won many prestigious awards in her lifetime and continued to advocate for it.
I designed this collection with the help.
All right, so you've heard about our sister Miss Bath, and we're going to continue with this in just a second. Okay? Now, why is it important for us to know about black inventors? Why is it important for us to know anything about any of this stuff, about ourselves? Imagine a time when you never saw anything positive about a black person. Imagine a time when you were told that all you're ever going to be is a slave to me. Imagine a time that you were told that you're not worthy of education because you can't learn anything. Or even imagine a recent time when you were told all you could be was a basketball player, a baseball player sometimes, or a football player, or a criminal or a dope dealer. That's why it's important that all of us know these things in order that we can tell our children, our nieces, our nephews, our friends' children, the children on the block, some of these things, to shape their mindset so that they will know and understand that they should and can and will do better. We're going to continue.
In Queens, New York on October 22, 1922. She worked as a nurse and was married to Albert Brown, an electronics technician. The crime rate in their neighborhood was high and police response time was slow, coupled with the unfixed hours of the police force, pushed Marie to look for ways to increase the level of personal security in her home. She needed to create a system that would allow her to know who was at her home and contact relevant authorities as quickly as possible. That idea birthed the invention of the first home security system and the basis of modern surveillance systems, remote-controlled doors, and push-button alarms. Brown's security system comprised of peepholes, a camera, monitors, a two-way microphone, and an alarm button that could be pressed to contact the police immediately. The peepholes were placed at 3 levels on the front door. The top one for tall persons, the middle one for people of average height, and the bottom one for children. A camera was mounted at the opposite side of the door with the ability to slide up and down through the peepholes and project the image on a monitor through a wireless system. The microphone was to enable her to speak to the person at the door, and the person could speak back. If the person was perceived as an intruder, the alarm button will alert the police at once. But if the person was a friend, the door could be opened by remote control. Marie and Albert Brown filed for a patent on August 1, 1966, under the title Home Security System Utilizing Television Surveillance, and it was granted on December 2, 1969. Brown's invention gained her well-deserved recognition, including an award from the National Scientist Committee and an interview with the New York Times on December 6, 1969. Brown resided in New York with her family of 3 until her death on February 2, 1999. Number 3, Miriam Benjamin, inventor of the signal chair. Miriam Benjamin was born as a free person on September 16, 1861, to parents Francis and Eliza Benjamin in Charleston, South Carolina. Her family moved to Boston, Massachusetts with the hope for better schooling. She attended high school in Boston, then moved to Washington, D.C., where she worked as a school teacher and a federal clerk. She later enrolled into Howard University Law School. While Miriam worked as a school teacher, she invented the honk and signal chair for hotels. She thought of a way to get the attention of the waiters in a hotel from the comfort of your chair. The chair had 2 components, a buzzer button and a light signal. When the button is pressed, it would buzz at the waiter's station, and a light on the chair would let the waiter know who wanted service. In her patent notes, she said the chair would serve to reduce the expense of hotels by decreasing the number of waiters and attendants, to add to the convenience and comfort of guests, and to obviate the necessity of hand clapping or calling aloud to obtain the services of pages.
Something to also remember about this particular one, it was not only used in hotels, it has now transformed to being used in hospitals. That little button that you push above your hospital bed to let the nurses know at the nurses station when you need some help. Also, when you're on an airplane, you push that little button to let the stewardess or the steward know that you need their help. You need something to drink or whatever you want.
Received patent for her invention in 1888, making her the second African-American woman to receive a patent in the United States. She lobbied to have her chair adopted by the United States House of Representatives, but they eventually installed a copycat version of hers that she didn't get credit for. Miriam became a solicitor of patents and moved back to Boston in 1920 to live with her mother and work for her brother, Edgar Pinkerton Benjamin, a noted attorney. Benjamin's invention was the precursor to the flight attendant call button, a key tool for customer.
Are you struggling to learn how to become a notary?
Here we go. These jokers.
Number 4, Sarah Good, inventor of the folding cabinet bed. Sarah Good was born enslaved in 1850 and received no form of formal education while growing up. After receiving her freedom at the end of the Civil War, Good moved to Chicago with her husband, Archibald, who was a carpenter. She became an entrepreneur, and together with her husband, they owned a furniture store. Sarah realized that many of her customers were working-class people who lived in small apartments and didn't have enough space for many furniture, sometimes including beds. She thought of her way to utilize such small space while providing the comfort of a bed as well. Thus, she invented the folding cabinet bed. The folding cabinet bed comprised of a bed, which could be concealed when not in use to serve as a roll-top desk, with compartments for stationery and other writing supplies. This invention made her customers have both the comfort of a bed in their home and the luxury of a desk for writing activities. The bed attached to the cabinet was wide enough to accommodate 2 adults or an adult and 2 children. The folding cabinet bed was a timely and satisfying invention and is the predecessor to the modern-day Murphy bed. Good was granted a patent for her invention on July 14, 1885 by the United States Patent and Trademark Office. This made her the first African-American woman in history to receive a patent for an invention. She died in 1905 at the age of 55 years. Number 5. Marjorie Stewart Joyner, pioneer in cosmetology. Marjorie Stewart Joyner was born on October 24, 1896, in Monterey, Virginia. She moved to Chicago and began studying cosmetology at the A.B. Moeller Beauty School in 1912. In 1916, she became the first African-American graduate of the school. That same year, at the age of 20, she got married to Robert E. Joyner, a podiatrist, and opened her salon. In Chicago, Joyner met another influential beautician and businesswoman who ran several beauty schools in the country, Madam C.J. Walker. In 1920, Joyner joined the C.J. Walker Beauty Colleges as the national supervisor. In the early 1920s, African American women were accustomed to straightening their hair with very hot curling irons. This process was slow and uncomfortable because only one iron could be used at a time. This made Joyner think of ways to improve on this method. One day, while making a pot roast in her kitchen, Joyner looked at the roast, which was being held together and heated with several thin, long rods from within. She envisioned a similar system that would use several rods hung above the client's head, which could roll several portions of the hair at once. Then, they could be heated up to produce a permanent wave or curl into her hair for a few days. In 1926, she began experimenting until she achieved a feasible prototype. She received a U.S. patent for her invention, the Perfect Wave Machine, in 1928. The following year, she invented a scalp protector to make the curling process more comfortable for the clients. However, the patents for both products were assigned to Madam Walker, and Joyner didn't receive any substantial compensation for her inventions, which is very unfortunate. Her inventions were used in many salons on both black and white clients, and she continued to create systems to uphold the standards of beauticians in the country. In 1973, she was awarded a bachelor's degree in psychology from Bethune-Cookman College in Daytona Beach. She remained dedicated to community service and died in 1994. Number 6. Judy Reed, inventor of the dough kneader and roller. Judy Reed was born during the time of slavery. Therefore, there is no proper documentation available in regards to her birth and childhood. However, it was discovered that she lived in Washington, D.C. when it was unlawful for enslaved people to be taught how to read and write, and would be harshly punished or killed if caught learning or teaching. In January 1884, Reed applied for a patent on her dough kneader and roller. The device was an improved design on existing dough kneaders. Her device comprised of 2 rollers, corrugated slats, a covered receptacle. This device allowed dough to mix evenly. As it progressed between the 2 rollers, carved with corrugated slats that would act as kneaders. Then the dough passed into a covered receptacle to keep it clean and protected. The patent was granted September 23, 1884, to a person who signed X for this dough kneader and roller. It is believed that Judy Reed signed X because she was unable to spell her name or write. This technicality is the reason why Reed is not officially recognized as the first African American female patent holder. Number 7. Sarah Boone, improved the ironing board. Sarah Boone was born as Sarah Marshall in 1832 in Craven County, North Carolina. In 1847, at age 15, she married James Boone in New Bern, North Carolina. Before the Civil War, she and her husband moved to New Haven, Connecticut. She worked as a dressmaker while her husband was a brick mason. As a dressmaker and a mother of 8 children, Boone found ironing of female sleeves and garments difficult to iron because they were curved and slim. Ironing in that period was done on either a pair of chairs or across a flat surface with an iron heated over a stove or fire. This was usually done in the kitchen because of the proximity to the stove or fire. Boone invented an improvement to the already existing ironing boards. Her board was designed to be effective in ironing sleeves and bodies of female garments. The board was narrow and curved, which was the fit of a female sleeve in that period. The board was reversible, thereby making it easier to iron both sides of the sleeves. It was also suited for ironing curved waist seams of garments. In her patent application, Boone stated that the purpose of her invention was to produce a cheap, simple, convenient, and highly effective device, particularly adapted to be used in ironing the sleeves and bodies of ladies' garments. Boone's ironing board was granted patent on April 26, 1892.
You're listening to the OVP Web Network right here. We are TV outside the box.
4. Number 8. Ellen Eglin, inventor of the clothes wringer. Ellen Eglin was born in 1849 in Washington, D.C., where she lived through her childhood and adult years. While living in D.C., Eglin worked as a housekeeper and a government clerk. Washing clothes at this time was only done by hand, and wringing out the clothes and drying them was also done by hand. Ellen realized that there had to be a better way to wring water out of the clothes, so she put her mind to work and came up with an invention that changed the process of washing and made it very efficient and comfortable. She called it the clothes wringer. In the 1800s, Eglin invented a clothes wringer, which was a machine that comprised of 2 rollers and a frame that was connected to a crank. The clothes would be placed in between the 2 rollers, and as the crank was turned, the clothes would have the water pressed out of them. She applied for patent and was granted. However, Eglin sold her patent to a white person who was interested in manufacturing the product for a token of $18. In 1890, she was featured in the April issue of the Woman Inventor magazine, where she was asked the reason for selling her patent, and she replied saying, "You know I am black, and if it was known that a Negro woman patented the invention, white ladies would not buy the wringer. I was afraid to be known because of my color and having it introduced to the market. That is the only reason." The buyer of the patent went ahead to produce the product and made considerable financial rewards for it. Eglin's wringer is still being used today. Number 9. Lyda Newman, inventor of a new style of hairbrush. Lyda Newman was born in Ohio in 1885, but she lived in Ohio until the late 1890s, when according to the official census records, she became a New York City resident. Newman was a hairdresser by trade and also a women's rights activist. She fought alongside well-known women's suffrage activists for women's right to vote. As a hairdresser, Newman thought of ways to improve her business and came up with an improved hairbrush design. This was a period when women were becoming self-aware and standing up for their rights. And Newman not only brought revolution as an activist, she also designed hairdressing products that added to the ease of women. In 1898, Newman applied for a United States patent for a new style of hairbrush. Her hairbrush design included features that promoted efficiency and hygiene. The bristles were evenly spaced in rows, with open slots to guide debris away from the hair into a compartment, and a back that could be opened at the touch of a button for cleaning out the compartment. The hairbrush was not only efficient, it was also stylish. Newman was granted the patent for her hairbrush on November 15, 1898. In the 1920s, Newman headed a group in her neighborhood that created awareness about women's right to vote. Newman continued to fight for women's rights and worked as a hairdresser to a private family throughout her adulthood. Number 10. Alice H. Parker, inventor of the central heating using natural gas. Alice Parker was born in 1895 in Morristown, New Jersey. She had her early childhood education in New Jersey before relocating to Washington, D.C. She attended classes at the Howard University Academy, which was a high school affiliated to Howard University. She earned a certificate with honors from the Academy in 1910. Growing up in New Jersey, the winters were harsh, and Alice felt like her fireplace was not effective enough in warming her home through the cold winters. This prompted her to design a more efficient way of supplying heat during winters. She is credited with the invention of the central heating using natural gas. Parker's central heating system allowed cool air to be drawn into the furnace, then conveyed through a heat exchanger that delivered warm air through ducts to individual rooms of a house. Her invention was convenient and decreased the need for people to go outside to chop or cut wood during winters. It also decreased the risk of house fires associated with fireplaces. Although the concept of central heating was already around before Parker's birth, her design was cutting edge because it made use of natural gas instead of coal or wood like others. Her invention paved way for the use of natural gas and energy conservation in central heating systems that we have in our homes today. Parker was granted United States patent for her invention on December 23, 1919.
We appreciate the fact that you stayed with us until the end. Thank you for spending time with us, and don't forget to like this video.
All right. Courtesy of Black Excellence. So you see, these are the types of things that we and our children need to know. You know, as everybody always say, save the babies. You got to save the babies. The children are our future. Huh? All of that stuff. Well, the future starts in the present. For if the present is messed up, there is no future. So the parents need to know these things in order to impart this kind of knowledge to their children. Just the children knowing is no good. Because when the children come home, who's going to help them with their homework? Who's going to know how important it is for their children to reach a higher pinnacle of education and to even know what they should be studying if the parents don't know? I remember when I was little, I had to be about 4 or 5 years old, and I was at my grandmother's house down in Alabama, out in the woods. And there was a big tree in front of the house with these things called China berries on them. And I had a couple Coca-Cola bottles, and I was dropping the China berries in there and watching the bubbles float to the top. And my grandmother said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm playing with my computer." This was before a desktop computer, a laptop computer, tablets. None of this stuff was invented. Now imagine if anybody who was around me actually knew what a computer was at that time. That would have meant possibly I might have been pushed forward towards getting into computer science instead of what I'm doing now. Not saying that what I'm doing now is so bad, but I'm just saying computer design takes a whole lot more intellect than what I'm doing, and also it contributes a whole lot more to the world. And I'd have been paid a whole lot better. Anyway, but you have to pay attention to what your children say. For instance, my little brother, when he was a child, I'd say around maybe 11, 12, something like that. I'm a lot older than my brother. I'm 11 years older than him. So I may have spent more time during his formative years with him than my parents did. Because of, me being around him during the summers when they had to work, he had to stay with me. Everything, place I went, he went, And he told me that he wanted to be an engineer. Now, at this particular time, I don't know if I was still in college or I had left college by then or what, but I do remember telling him or asking him, "What kind of engineer do you want to be?" And he said, "I don't know." I told him, "Go to the library." At that particular time, there was a library open not far from where we lived. It opens up on occasion now. I think it only opens like once a week now. But anyway, that summer I told him to go to the library and look up every kind of engineer that he could find. And whichever one that he thought would make him the happiest, not the one that would make him the most money. Whichever kind would make him the happiest, that's what you should become. Well, after graduating high school and going to college, he became a civil engineer. And eventually moved up to working for the Army Corps of Engineers and becoming a supervisor and some other things. But it starts with paying attention to what your children say and helping to push them in those directions. Now, some of us, we had multiple talents, meaning that we couldn't really settle down and focus, or your attention span. You know, nowadays when a child has a attention span that he can't focus on one thing, y'all say he got ADHD or some silly stuff. But in many occasions, it's just that the children or the child's mind is clicking so fast that the teachers just don't know how to teach him and the parents don't know how to deal with him. When I was little, I wanted to be multiple things throughout my childhood. And it's nobody's fault, but because I didn't focus properly, I became a lot of stuff and didn't stick to it like I should have. I used to be able to draw anything I looked at. But because in school that wasn't pushed forward, because a lot of folks didn't really, we had a very good art teacher, Mr. Peterson, in elementary school. He watches from time to time. But after him, by the time I got to high school and I still was drawing pretty well, I ain't really had nobody to push it. I got bored with it, so I stopped. So now I can't draw like that anymore. There was a time I wanted to be an author. When I was in elementary school, and we would have to write those little stories, we had to make up stories, and one of the teachers actually told me, one day you should be an author. Let that go. And it's not too late for any of that stuff, but it just, I didn't stay focused because I had too many things that I was good at. Now, that's not to say that you can't do more than one thing, because there are many of us out here who are doing multiple things. But the thing that child wants to do the most at that time, give them some incentive, push them forward. Push them in that direction. And if they choose not to do it after you've given them all you can to make them go in that direction, then you've done your part. But these are the reasons why all of us, not just the children, but all of us need to be exposed to the knowledge of our greatness, the knowledge of our history, the knowledge of our present. Like, for instance, the brother they was talking about, his last name was Dean, who had, they said 30 patents for Dell. He actually had over 50 patents for Dell. How do you know, Hodo? Because I tried to get an interview with him once. And at that particular time, when I tried, almost 20 years ago, Dell wasn't letting him do any interviews. Huh? So, it is very important. And the other part is that these inventors and stuff, we don't hear nothing about them. Because most of the time, they leave us behind. Not because so much they don't like their own people or nothing like that. It's just we don't fit together because we've watched Happy Days and lived Happy Days. What is Happy Days? So that old TV show when the smart guys were called nerds. We have been socialized to believing that any child or young adult who has inklings of brilliance is a nerd, and that's a bad thing to be smart. It's never a bad thing to be intelligent. For we are the foundation, our history is the foundation of every civilization on the planet. The derivatives of our culture from Akiba line or some of y'all like to say Africa, or whatever you want to call it. East Asia, or whatever we called it. The knowledge of our ancestors and the knowledge of our present day people needs to be shared. The knowledge of our ancestors is that of creating sewer systems, is that of creating water purification systems, is that of creating what is now known as the alphabet. That thing that we call algebra has its foundation with us. All of the sciences. Language. It's so many things, but because we don't know, and all we think we're supposed to be is hip-hop artists and thugs, or athletes, we've shied away from intellect. There's no such thing as a black person saying, I don't like math. Your ancestors invented math, man. You don't like the arts. That's boring. We were the first singers and performers. Only difference is that the performances we were doing was of our ancestors. We were telling the history when the griot was telling you the stories of the ancestors, so that you would pass down the motivational information that would groom the next generation into what they should be doing. During a time when we were given names that we had to live up to. You know? You saw that in the movie Roots. At least the first one. I haven't looked at the second one. The original Roots series. When Kunta named his daughter Kizzy, he told her it meant stay put, even though it didn't work out that way. But the names had a meaning. The fathers would take the child and go off away from everybody else with the child for 7 days and see what kind of attributes the child would exhibit, and then name the child after those attributes. Or if you got the name of an ancestor, you were supposed to honor that family name. Ain't no honor in no LaQuisha. Ain't no honor in no Alizé. So when you saying you want your child to grow up and be a bottle of wine or something? Huh? Mercedes, so your child is supposed to grow up to be a car? But it sounds cute. Really? So these are the things when we name our children. All of these things play a big part into our development. And make sure that your child understands what their name means. Huh? Don't be just naming them some stuff because you tell me that sounds cute. I'm going to name it Ahi Daddy. But his daddy's a crook. His daddy was teaching him how to get out in the street and slang just like he did. And also taught him how to go to prison just like he did. There's no honor in that. There is no future in that. So don't let nobody persuade you or your child that striving to be intellectual is a bad thing. It's never a bad thing to be logical and intellectual. But it is a bad thing to be overly emotional and dumb. Huh? We even used to have a saying. Our ancestors had a saying talking about an educated fool. Huh? You just an educated fool. Because they didn't want to let go of the slave traditions. So when folks tried to bring change to them to make things better for them, they called them an educated fool. Because they wanted to stay stuck and what their slave masters had taught them. For instance, let me see if I got this thing here. You know, you've been told and shown in this little cartoon called Minions, right? Y'all think that your children playing with little things called minions and playing like they are minions is a good thing. And you may say, hold on, you taking it too far. No, I'm not. No, I am not. What I'm doing is merely stating facts. You see? Now, a lot of y'all don't like facts because y'all want, well, that's what they say, but you know, I got my own point of view. It ain't about no point of view. Facts ain't no point of view. Facts are the origin of what things really are. Now, for instance, Minions. Let's see what does this say about Minions. You go back here. Let's see. This comes from the Kramer Institute. There are those who contend that the Satan or the devil is a myth, a construct to explain the obvious evils in existence by bygone days. Now, I'm not talking about no spooky demonism, but I'm just telling you, you know. Anyway, they typically deny the existence of a God or a supreme being and all things spiritual, including the existence of spiritual beings, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, minions. A minion is that one which gives aid to Satan. By definition, a minion is that one, or minions are they, who give aid to Satan. So, y'all, because some cat told y'all they so cute with their little goggles. And people in certain entities or industries, they don't choose names haphazardly. It is not by happenstance that they are grooming children to love or to want to be a minion. Huh? A lot of y'all probably got some of them toys in your house right now for your babies and your grandbabies. Many of y'all done bought the little cartoons and even in the cartoon, and I've looked at it because I wanted to see. Because I already knew what the word meant, right? So when the thing came out, I didn't pay no money, and scrap that. I did get an opportunity to check it out, right? And all through this little cartoon, these little creatures are mischief makers. They're always doing something they ain't got no business doing. Is that not a helper to the devil? Or Shaitan or Satan? Huh? Just a little something to think about. As folks present you with stuff and make you think it's okay, you should at least know what the word means. A lot of y'all didn't even know what the word minion was until the cartoon come out. You thought it was some little cute little yellow thing, right? I probably won't never, whoever produced that cartoon, I probably won't never get no sponsorship dollars from them, but the truth is the truth. And that is my job as your brother, is to let y'all know when folks running okie doke on you. And I know, hold on, I really didn't want to know that. Yeah, I know. But as they say in the courtroom, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Huh? Because you thought you didn't want to know, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So, and if you don't believe it, look up minion. And don't just punch in the word minion and look it up. What you do is look up the origin of the word minion. Or you can punch up, if you want to do it online, if you don't want to just go to the paperback dictionary, you know. If you want to go online, you might want to put in there, let's see. How are minions related to Satan? Something like that. And then it'll tell you, you know. It's all about, you get to find out what you're looking for, you got to word it right when you're looking online. When you go to a dictionary, you just look for the word minion, then they give you a bunch of definitions, you know. Online, they get tricky with you sometimes. You got to go through multiple definitions to really see. Because online, they try to stay as current as they think they should be. Meaning, the last thing that somebody said is the last thing you see. So, when you first look it up, you're going to see them little yellow things with the big goggles and think that, that's all they did, a little cute thing. How do they know what you're talking about? Nah. Look up the origin of the word. See? Because a lot of y'all think just cause stuff is used a different way now makes it mean that it means something different. Huh? Y'all like to call your children kids. A kid is a baby goat. Right? Oh, no, they them children. No, a kid is a baby goat. A baby goat is a mischievous thing. And for those Bible thumpers that are out there, it says in your book that the kid was likened, or the goat was likened unto the devil. Or was like the devil. So when you name, you call, come here, you little kids. You're calling your children devil-like. Or baby goats. Something else for you to think about. All right. I ain't gonna take it that deep on y'all for a little bit longer. Even that ain't deep as a half a teaspoonful of water, really. All right. So now what else we have here? Let's get rid of that. This is, of course, the Hodo Show and the Other Viewpoint. And I am your brother, if there is no other. I'm Hodo. Here go one for you. I want y'all to check out. You know, prisoners are having to pay fees nowadays. Now, some of y'all have been told that the prisoners are paying fees to cover, you know, their incarceration. That's not necessarily so. Some of these prisoners are paying some fees for stuff that didn't have nothing to do with the crime they committed. So let's check that out so you can see what I'm talking about. And I just want you to check it out, okay?
Has become another way of saying serving time in prison. But as Sarah Gonzalez from our Planet Money podcast reports, there's often another very literal debt for prisoners to pay.
Michael Taylor walked out of prison with a bus ticket, enough money to buy some barbecue chips and lotto tickets, and court debt. How much did you owe?
Like 13, 14. I probably owe $20,000 in court costs and fines throughout my incarceration history.
He's been in and out his whole life.
I'm not proud of this. And I really don't want to say it, but I've sold drugs. When I was a kid, I stole cars and burglarized stores, not houses, stores.
We were able to confirm that Taylor does have at least $13,508.55 in court fees. And some of these fees are related to using the resources of the justice system. Court fees go to pay for the stenographer to type up court minutes. You pay for a warrant that was issued. You pay for the judge's salary, for their retirement. But some of the fees really have nothing at all to do with committing a crime.
I owe $2,550.25.
This is Terry Ann Van Winkle. She did 2 years for forging a check, and she's scrolling through her fees. There's one for some forensic work, $5.
Which I don't know why there's a forensic fee because it's not even a drug charge.
There's a $100 trauma care fee that goes to a hospital fund in the state. It's for patients with severe trauma cases. There's a $3 fee for a child abuse fund.
And it goes to like children that are being abused.
Even though you did not have a child abuse related case?
Right. Correct.
These types of programs are often paid for with taxes. And Van Winkle has a job at Subway. Taxes come out of her paycheck. So she says she's paying for public services twice. And every state has fees and fines like this. Court fees started piling up when Americans started to revolt against tax increases in the 1970s and 80s. States still had to generate revenue, so states started thinking maybe crime could pay. They added new fees to misdemeanors, to felonies, and even to traffic tickets. And they started locking people up who didn't pay, like Michael Taylor.
I've been locked up twice for failure to pay.
He hasn't always paid his fees.
I've given him $1 before and gotten a receipt for it. But now, it's like every nickel I get, I need. Every nickel I get.
Now, the U.S. has ruled pretty clearly that we cannot have debtors' prisons in the U.S. The U.S. banned them in 1833. Before that, there were actual brick dungeons in Manhattan and Philadelphia just for people who couldn't pay their debts. But the Supreme Court has said that you can go to jail if you have the money and choose not to pay. And today, when you get rearrested for failing to pay your fees, you're technically arrested for violating your parole, not for being too poor to pay. It's a tricky little workaround that some people think is actually a violation of the law. When Michael Taylor got out this last time, he went to a homeless shelter and now has a part-time job.
What I have is all the money I get by working. I'm not going to allow you to find me into poverty. I'm not going to allow you to take any more food out of my mouth to pay you for something I served. I'm not paying you for that anymore. I'm not going to pay you anymore. I don't have any money to pay you.
And there is a way to work down your debt without actually making payments. You can sit in jail.
Oh, yeah. It happens a lot.
Ryan Gensler with the Oklahoma Policy Institute has researched these fees for years.
So if you have, say, $1,500 in fines and fees, some judges will allow you to stay in their jail, and for every night that you spend there, take $50 off of your fines and fees.
When counties are allowed to keep all the revenue they generate from these fees, that can create some perverse incentives, says economist Michael Makowski at Clemson University. One solution, he says, don't let counties keep all the money for themselves. Have it go to a big state pot.
So if I'm a single municipality who wants to introduce a new ride-along fee that says any person who's arrested and then driven to the police department or the jail, they have to pay a $50 fee. Well, you don't actually keep $50 anymore, right? Your new fee you just invented, that's spread across everyone else in the state before it's redistributed back.
If you only get to keep a fraction of the money from your fees, maybe there will be fewer fees.
All right, courtesy of NPR. So what do you think about that? And hey, Shirley, see you out there. We are live. For those of you who are watching, this is, of course, the Holo Show and the other Viewpoint. And this is February 14th. It's a little after, it's about 11:15, more or less. And you can call in if you want to at 313-334-5909, 313-334-5909. For those of you who wrote the number down earlier, if you want to log in and see what we were just talking about. And what do you think about that? You say, well, they were just prisoners. What I care? Well, it's not just happening to prisoners either. I remember when I had a landline some years back, and I remember this guy calling me. and say, do you want to do such and such and such? And I said, no. And so after a few months, I didn't pay attention to the bill like I should have. So I decided to look at this bill. Sometimes you just pay the stuff. Y'all don't read every little thing on there. We all have done that with bills from time to time. I looked at the phone bill, and I saw some extra money on there. First of all, they had added about an extra $20 to my bill. So when I called the phone company, and they record everything, whether they say they don't, even back then they did. And as I was talking to the lady on the phone, and they were saying, well, you said you wanted, I said, no, I didn't. I didn't say I wanted nothing. I told that cat, no. I said, you better roll that big bean footage back. And the lady said, hold on a minute. And she went back and replayed the conversation that I had with this guy where I said, no. And so they took that off my bill. But also I looked at the bill, the landline bill that came to the house. And this was in the 2000s. And there was a fee for a telegraph. A lot of y'all may not know what a telegraph is, but that was when the cats used to he tapped the little thing. Did you see on them old cowboy movies or something like that? When there was no telephone and they had to understand what them little meant and could write it down, the Morse code. In the early 2000s, we were still paying for that on our phone bills, even though it didn't exist in that form anymore. That was on our phone bill. So as you hear that the guys incarcerated or who have been incarcerated have these extra fees to pay, we all been paying some extra fees because we don't read our bills totally. Like I say, I personally have been guilty of that, but I learned my lesson. Don't be letting the folks slip stuff in on you. And we do. Because we trust folks that we don't know. See, this is the thing that irks me the most about us not supporting our own businesses, about not putting in with each other to go into business again. I can't trust that nigga. But you trust folks all the time on the telephone, at the bank. You pay bills with your credit cards and all this stuff. Whether it be online, whether it be on the phone, you go to the place. You do all of this stuff and you trust people. But why don't we trust one another? In the same way that we trust folks that we know absolute jack about. Nothing. We don't know nothing about these folks. We will get a check and put it straight in the bank. I'm putting my thing in the bank, man. You don't know nothing about them people. And they take your money, the banking system itself, not the individuals necessarily who work there. But banks are merely just holding places to use your money for other entities. I mean, your money's usually there when you want it. You get that little bit of interest. But banks use your money to fund building skyscrapers and all kinds of things. And they didn't ask your approval about it. And the money that they get back from what's borrowed from your money, you don't get a percentage of that like they do. But you trust them. Now, I'm not telling you take your money out the bank. I ain't saying nothing like that. But I'm saying we're very trusting of folks that we know absolutely nothing about. We're trusting of entities that we know absolutely nothing about, but we refuse to come together and trust one another and build industries amongst ourselves in our own neighborhoods. Something's not right about that picture. See, we hate each other so much that we won't trust each other. Oh, man, I don't hate my people. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you've ever heard in your family say, I can't trust no nigga, don't you go into business with no nigga. Huh? You hate yourself. And the ones who said it hate their people too. I don't care if it was your mama, your auntie, your daddy. They hated your family. They hated your people. They hated themselves. I've worked for a whole lot of black companies throughout my lifetime. And I've worked for some Caucasian companies. The only difference is most of the time the Caucasian companies had more money to put out for the employees than the black companies did. Because they were dealing with their own people. And we weren't. See, as I was talking before, I've told you guys this before, I've talked to some people that were around a whole lot longer than me when there were gas stations, and I saw at least 50 of the gas stations around during my lifetime. But when grocery stores were black owned, that kind of thing, and why they went out of business? Because, like for instance, here in Detroit, specifically, the Arab community bought up the Spartan brand and bought the grocery stores. Some from us and some from other folks who owned Jewish people or whoever else owned it. They bought them up in the 80s and 70s. And they bought their own brand. And they have a bunch of brands they've bought besides Spartan, but Spartan was the brand of the stores and some of the products. And because they bought them as a conglomerate, as a group of folks, they can order more stuff and get better discounts because they're ordering in bulk. As opposed to the black grocery stores or black gas stations who refuse to become a conglomerate and engage with one another so that they could order in bulk. Instead, they wanted to be in competition with each other. Ergo, they don't exist anymore. Because of lack of love for self. And I'm going to take this back to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. See, many folks were lied to and said, oh, the Muslims teach hate. Ooh. All the times that folks saw Muslims in the community, even before I was on the planet. Y'all know doggone well, ain't no Muslims told you to hate nobody. You know doggone well, the Muslims taught y'all, brother, you need to love one another. We need to come together and get some businesses. We need to come together, right? Yeah, true enough, they called a white man the devil. But considering what was happening to black folks and what is still happening to black folks at the hands of white people, what else could you think to call them? And why you gonna get mad at the brothers for calling them devils? They was calling themselves devils. When they had a little son with the blue eyes, he said, he's a cute little blue-eyed devil, isn't he? You ain't say, boss, you ain't got no business calling your son no devil. When he was talking about this boy and this boy walked up, say, man, speak of the devil, there you are. Man, don't call your boy no devil. I ain't say jack. When Evil Knievel and the mother cats was jumping off and jumping across canyons and jumping over buses with their motorcycles, and they called themselves daredevils. You say, man, don't jump across that and call yourself no devil. Didn't say a word. Because a black man affirmed what he was calling himself already, Y'all get mad and say he was teaching hate. I mean, a man beat you down because you walking down the street for freedom. He beat you with a club, turn a fire hose on you, and sick a dog on you. What other kind of mentality is that than a devilish mentality? Merely because somebody said, I want to be treated with respect and equality. I mean, what would you call the cat who put his knee on Floyd's neck until he was dead beyond the devil? I'm just saying. Ain't got nothing to do with no racism for y'all go there. Nope. If you were to look back throughout the annals of time that you've been on the planet, anything of evil, who's been at the head of it? I ain't talking about these little cats who slinging rocks in the hood. Little cats who giving the pills out of, or was selling bud because y'all said it was illegal and all that stuff. I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about the cat who's in charge. The cat whose plane the cocaine was flown in on. Talking about the cat, not the dude who shot little foo-foo down the street, but the cat who made the guns and made sure the guns got on the street. And made sure there was plenty of ammunition to fit in it. Huh? What about the dude who came over here, him and his crew, to America, and the natives were here, our brothers and sisters too, and they rolled up on them and gave them blankets with smallpox in them to kill them, and knew it? What about the ones who sold them guns and knew that the guns was no good when the people was trying to fight for their own land, the native brothers and sisters right here? They knew the guns were going to fire right. You know, they gave them a couple of them to check, but they knew the bulk of the ones in the box didn't work right. So that when they went up to fight against the folks who was trying to steal their land from them, they got massacred. So, you can't teach nobody to hate nobody. The only one that could teach somebody to hate somebody is the one who did something to them. And even through that, Elijah Muhammad didn't tell nobody to hate no white man. He told the folks, since they came out of you, and you calling him the devil, he can always come back on you and say, I didn't make myself, you made me. So he told the people, don't get so big that you think you can dog white folks out when you the one made him. So wasn't no hate teaching in that. That was talking about you loving yourself and just making an identification of the mentality that was in the folks that was running roughshod all over you. They had a devilish mind, a devilish mentality, which brought forth devilish actions. A man that will kidnap you from across the ocean in the bellies of ships, with you stacked on top of one another, urinating, defecating, and puking all over each other, for months at a time across the ocean. What else would you call that? A man that would take your baby and as a joke, throw it to the alligators. So, no, And there's no hatred about that. It's just stating historical facts. But folks get mad when facts come forth. I mean, nowadays, you remember they say the devil come in all colors. Well, nowadays he does. Because the mindset of demonism has ran rampant around the world. But the world has not always been like this. You didn't always have to have a lawyer because your word was your bond. I mean, whatever you said, you lived up to. How many treaties were broke with the natives in America? Say, well, we only gonna take this little bit of land up to this point. No, we're gonna take this land up to this point. And then soon, the natives were pushed way beyond, thousands of miles beyond from where they said they would stop taking. Oh, why you care about them? Because I got some Cherokee up in me too. For sure on my mother's mother and father side, along with the black. Both my grandparents on my mother's side. No, I don't know them and don't hang out with them. Can't go back to the tribe and do none of that kicking it. I'm just stating what I know because of what my parent told me. And looking at some of my great aunts and looking at their long straight hair. Looking at their bone structure. Looking at my grandfather. So yeah, I know it's there. But I'm a black man first. Because my name Hodo can be traced back to the motherland on my father's side. And I am my father's seed. Sadly enough, I'm the end of my father's seed because I didn't have any sons. But understanding these things are important. You know that lie that they be talking about mama's baby, daddy's baby. The baby's always daddy's baby. Because the daddy is the one that put forth the seed. Women don't have seeds. Women are like the earth. Whatever seed you put in the earth is what the earth gives you back. Put a cherry seed in the earth, you get a cherry tree. You don't get an orange tree. You get that seed back that came from whence it came. That's common biology, whether y'all like it or not. That's basic biology. So, knowing these things and knowing the truth about what's really going on, y'all have been made to ignore what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad brought forth by way of the Nation of Islam during his time here amongst us. Y'all are told about Malcolm. Y'all are told about Farrakhan. Y'all are told about a whole bunch of folks. But y'all are not told about the foundation from whence it came. And that is wrong. Y'all talk about Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't start teaching until almost over 20 years after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had been teaching. Earlier, those of you who joined me heard as I gave a slight history of some of the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was able to bring into fruition during his time amongst us. So out of all of the banks, the grocery stores, the laundromats, the farmland, the farms, and all these different things that came forth by way of Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he was here, what was hateful about that and providing that for black people? What was hateful about that? Well, Malcolm left the nation, so a whole bunch of folks leave places. Big deal. Nothing stopped because he left. Well, Malcolm got killed. They had nothing to do with Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He told the folks leave him alone. Nothing hateful about that. And now after Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed on, what the folks did after he was gone, that was criminal. How they destroyed everything, that was criminal. Got rid of all of the things that he had set forth for black people to keep them flourishing. That was terrible. And it has never come back the way it was thus far. It hasn't. And it don't appear that anybody's trying to make it do that. I'm not slamming nobody. I'm just stating what I see. Don't get mad. Figure it out. These are things that history shows you. These are things that when you pay attention, you can see. I don't give a doggone how many times the basket been passed. If it is not helping the bulk of the people, you're getting ganked. If folks are not getting jobs, if things have not changed from the way it was for the better, you're getting ganked. I mean, a lot, and we ain't got to just talk about the nation. Let's look at the church. We can talk about all kinds of stuff. Look at the church. A cat has this big old gigantron Coliseum looking thing. And y'all get to stand up there and do this here. And hum and hum and hamina, all and buck jump as much as you want to. How much of that money is being used in your community? See, a lot of y'all are under the misconception that religious folks are only supposed to take care of religious folks. That ain't what none of the prophets taught. Jesus didn't teach that. Jesus said, he who is the least amongst you is the greatest of all. Folks supposed to be giving charity to the poor. Not supposed to be pouring money to the rich. Jesus said, you scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites. You shut up the kingdom unto men, and you won't enter in, nor will you allow others to enter in who are trying to do so. Ye hypocrites. That's what he said. And true enough, folks are showing it to be true. Whether it be in Islam and Christianity or whatever. All throughout America. That is showing forth. Why? Because folks don't love each other at all. Black folks hate each other. And everybody else hates you too. But you are supposed to be the first example of how people are supposed to treat you. If you hate yourself, why anybody else got any business loving you? If every time you look out your window and you look across the sea and say, I hate that nigga. and don't know why. If a joker got to park in front of your house for a little while, oh, you parked in front of my house, and you ain't got no car. Huh? I remember when I was little, had these jokers on the block, get off my grass. Like somebody getting a ball off your grass is going to kill your grass. Man, get out of here. Cats be in the middle of the street playing tennis, hitting the ball back and forth, and the tennis ball would go on this dude's grass, and he would pull out his pocket knife and peel the tennis ball like an apple. Get off my grass. Stab footballs. Joker would be throwing the football, it bounce on his... Psst. Just evil, for no reason. Them children wasn't hurting your doggone grass. I remember when I used to be the block club president, you know how they pull out the basketball rims and they put them in the middle of the street and they playing basketball because ain't no park close by. Or either the park is so full of folks that might be up to no good, their parents bought them a rim, play on the block. People complaining, that basketball making too much noise. Basketball's supposed to make noise. Well, I don't let it be and broke the window of my car. They ain't gonna break nothing. So what I told them to do, bring the basketball hoop and put it in front of my house. So these folks will shut up. Children trying to do the right. They own the block. They ain't bothered. All they doing is shooting some hoop. They ain't fighting. All they doing is just shooting some hoop. And folks can find an excuse to bother them. Because we hate ourselves. And there's no way to justify the unjustifiable. There's no justification in that. Hating children for playing basketball. Hating children because a tennis ball went on your grass. And the worst part, that hadn't changed over a 50-year time frame. Or more. It hasn't changed. Instead, it's getting worse. Y'all can march for Black Lives Matter all you want and wear these t-shirts and put it on your mask on your face. You can wear the Black Power fist and all that stuff you want to. When the march is over, then what? When the shouting is over, then what? When the crying is over, then what? Now what? Like that song by the Black Eyed Peas, Where is the Love? Father, 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 where is the love? Huh? Where's the love? It don't matter how much you say you black and you proud, but if you ain't living it, it don't mean jack. You can tell all of the black history stories. You can quote the Quran. You can quote the Bible. You can go through the pillars and read the ISIS papers and all of this stuff. You can wear your dreads down to your tailbone. You can be dashiki down. But if you're not living it, not living the love, where's the love? Man, I ain't going over there with them niggas. I ain't spending my... Man, they so slow. Well, give them some instruction how they can speed up. Go talk to the owner. And don't go over there and say, man, y'all so slow, I need to tell y'all. No, don't go to him like that. Say, brother, I want to help you out a little bit. I think y'all would do a little bit better if you did thus and so, it might speed up your productivity, and then your lines won't be so long. If you know know it yourself, and you're not just griping. Be the one that brings the solution. Quit bringing the problems. Jokers don't say nothing about that when they stand in the line outside during the COVID waiting to get in the casino. They ain't telling the cats in the casino, y'all need to speed up in there so we can get in there and throw our money in that slot machine. Y'all ain't opening your mouth. When y'all standing in line at the lottery machine, y'all ain't opening your mouth about how long it's taking for that Arab cat to run your tickets off. Anything that you throwing your money away, you don't complain none. Throwing your money up in the sky. You might as well be in the jiggly joint. Trying to pay for that pie in the sky instead of getting together and putting some pie on your plate. Because, the pie in the sky ain't even no reality. The pie on the plate smell good and taste good. Sure enough can enjoy it. But first, you got to bring forth the love of self, of one another. Love ye one another. That's one of the greatest commandments. Love ye one another. Not love to cuss one another out. Not love to gossip about one another. Not love to, I wish I had what they had. Love and be happy they got it and ask them to show you how to get it. Don't be mad because they got it. Don't be plotting on how to steal their stuff because you're jealous because they got it and you don't. Where is the love? I remember my daddy was cracking on me one time trying to be funny. He said, boy, you ought to be a preacher. You can make a whole lot of money. Then he bust up laughing. Because he knew I wasn't going for that okie doke. See, the first question should be, why don't we love each other? Start researching the history of that. Man, that come from slavery. Yeah. That's, But what about in your family right now? Brothers and sisters hate each other in their own families. Because one of them too dumb to know not to disrespect the other one. They think because it's their blood brother and sister, they do what they want to do. Then when one of the brothers and sisters want to bust them in their mouth for disrespecting them, then they wrong. Because the one who did the disrespecting didn't show no love in the first place. And when you love that what you love, you chastiseth. Huh? Buying folks a bunch of stuff don't show no love. All that show is that you can give them a bunch of stuff. A bunch of disobedient, arrogant, spoiled children ain't no good in the long run. Because I love my baby. I get him everything. I didn't have this. So what? So what? You didn't have it. You want them to have all this stuff. I was looking at a video of this rapper, and it's not a rap video. This was a crime investigation. I can't think of the guy's name. Mama gave him everything. Everything. Spoiled this joker rotten. He became a rapper. And he paid a hitman to kill his mama so he could take the money out the bank so that he could pimp out his Mustang that she bought him. Spoiling your children ain't no good. It does not help in the long run. Spoiled children turn out to be rotten adults. Because many of us have assimilated love with merchandise. They are not one and the same. I mean, you want your children to do a little bit better than you did, but you teach them how to do better than you did. You don't give them everything when they're growing up, because then they don't respect it when they grow up. They think they're supposed to get it. Most of the folks that from my study that didn't get much when they were little became some of the most successful people. Look at most of the singers from Motown. Grew up in the projects. And look what they became. Ben Carson, whether you like him or not, after him hanging out with Trump, came from the projects and became one of the most renowned brain surgeons in the world. Now, after that, he got a little flaky and hung out with Trump. But his butt not being spoiled took him to another level. Cats that I knew here in the hood who became pro basketball players. I mean, there's examples. Then you got cats who were spoiled and never left their mama house. Up until their mid-50s, still there. Still being spoiled. Draining every little drop that their parents had to offer. And all they do is sit back and hope their parents die so they can get the rest of it. Because the love ain't there. Whatever your parent was or wasn't when you were a child, you still have an obligation to show them some love. And parents, likewise, you're not supposed to provoke your child to anger. Whether it's your adult child or your young child, you don't try to provoke them into anger. That ain't right either. But as an adult, whatever you went through as a child, logically, what's done is done. Let it go and keep it moving. Let the past be in the past. That's why it's called the past. It's gone. It's past you by. It's gone. Let the past be in the past. And move towards the future. Move towards the present. But it takes love to do all of that stuff. Like, for instance, now, many of you know that when I was put off the air at the station over there at HPI, it was a bad thing. But I can never, for a while I was pissed at RJ. But I can't be mad at RJ no more. Because if he had not let me in the door in the first place, many of you never would have heard of the Hodo Show and the other Viewpoint. Huh? Many of you may not have gotten what I had to offer y'all for 20 years. Many of you would not have heard from those who I interviewed over the years. Many of you would not, some of you have started businesses because of some of the stuff that I brought to the airwaves. I know that for a fact because some have come and told me. I remember when I did a show one time on Black Inventors, where all I did for 2 hours, maybe for 2 days, 2 hours, 4 hours, was read the names of the black folks who invented particular items, how many patents they had in their names, and the year they invented it. For 2 hours straight. And I still didn't run out. 2 hours each day, 2 days. And it was a school called Timbuktu Academy called me and wanted a copy of my show to use as a teaching tool of that at that African Centered School. I couldn't have did that if RJ wouldn't have let me on the air, so I can't be mad at him because we had a difference of opinion on how to deal with Duggan. Because I wanted to tell it all, and he didn't. So I can't be mad at it. It was his station. It was his stuff. Can't be mad at folks for what they do with their own stuff. I mean, at the time you might, but as time goes on, the past, let that pass. You know? And that comes with being an adult, using logic instead of emotionalism. And a lot of us refuse to be logical. Many of us hate to admit that they were wrong. And I was wrong in the way I handled it. You know, that part of it I was wrong about. I was wrong in the way I handled it. Because he hollered at me, I hollered back. That wasn't logical. You know, because this old thing, it says that if you see two fools yelling at each other, how do you know which one is the... You know, it says if you see a fool and a wise man arguing with each other and they yelling back and forth, how do you know which one's the fool and which one's the wise man? So I learned my lesson. But I also learned that it's best for me personally that if I'm going to be able to tell the truth as a journalist should, it is best that I do it on my own terms as opposed to deal with other folks. See, that thing about freedom of the press in the Constitution, there may have been a time that was true. But over the last 4 years, just looking at Trump, you see that is no longer true. Because now, when folks tell the truth, folks pay for alternative stations to come into existence to uphold the lie. And that is not the job of a journalist to uphold a lie. The job of a journalist is to hold everybody's feet to the facts without hindrance. But now, because folks got money, and during campaign season, a whole lot of money is spread out like spreading jam on a piece of bread. Folks tend to let things slide. I mean, I'm not going to look at Charlie LaDuff. Where's Charlie LaDuff? I mean, I know he's doing a podcast now and some other stuff. But Charlie LaDuff told the truth on folks. He ain't there no more. Dan Rather told the truth on George Bush. He ain't there no more. And I'm quite sure there are many others. So it is best. That's one thing that the internet did do. It gave true journalists an opportunity to be free in telling the truth. But also, it gave an opportunity for those who are charlatans in journalism to spread the lies too. Y'all just got to be able to maneuver through the minutia to know what is true and what is lie. And you know, most of the time the lie sound a whole lot better than the truth. The lie make you get fired up and feel good. The truth will make you think. Remember how them folks felt good about storming the Capitol? And when the truth smacked them in their face with that pepper spray? When the truth that this dude was tripping? And they started saying, hold up, I was invited by my president. Your president lied, G. Y'all weren't supposed to be here. But that lie sounded so good. They stole the election. They stole the vote. Stop the steal. Stop the steal. Got you all motivated and happy to go tear up stuff. The lie made you feel good. That truth, when it smacked you, when the folks started coming to your house. Who is it? FBI. What? Open the door, please. Who is it? FBI. Why y'all over at my door? Didn't you just commit an insurrection? My president took... Look, we was stopping the steal, man. Come out the house. Turn around. Let me put these handcuffs on you. The truth of the lie smacked you dead upside your head. Clinked your wrists tightly. I mean, y'all should have, when dude told y'all, we're going to storm the Capitol and I'm coming with you. We're going to march to the Capitol and I'm coming. When y'all looked around and didn't see, used to be orange with y'all. Used to be dyed blonde hair with y'all. Y'all should say, wait a minute. Dude said he's coming with us. Let's wait on him. And when dude didn't show up, y'all was supposed to pack it up and go back to the buses and go home. Go back to the airport, jump on the plane, and go home. When Alex Jones was firing y'all up that night, we're at the bar, all that hollering and screaming he was doing. When y'all start going up there in the Capitol and Alex Jones wasn't with you and leading the way, y'all should say, put on the brakes. Where Alex at? Trump Jr. in the background, behind the stage, dancing with his girl. And she doing her thing. And he shooting the video and laughing. And he wasn't there with y'all, walking up there towards the Senate building. I said, put on the brakes. The truth was they manipulated y'all. The truth was they had no intention of coming with you. See, the truth got you saying, hold up. But that lie made you say, yeah, we're going to do it. When homegirl was getting sprayed up by the pepper spray. What's wrong with that? I got sprayed. Well, what were you doing? I was storming the Capitol. You were storming the Capitol? It was a revolution. That pepper spray should have woke your butt up. You shouldn't even said that. You see where Mike Pence is? Nowhere to be found. Where Mike Pence at the last ditch minute went to do the right thing. Y'all talking about killing him. Shoot him in the head and hang him. Or hang him and shoot him in the head. Both things were said. Mike Pence found out this dude didn't even own no house. He had so much faith, he thought he was going to be in the White House for 8 years. Dude got out the country. Him and his wife going visiting folks around the world. Getting away from you crazy folks. No matter how much it looked like Pence was drinking the Kool-Aid, he had enough sense to sky up when it was time. Peace. You know what Pence said? Peace. Huh? +200 people. Clinked up. And there's going to be more. First of all, now, this is the difference in the truth and a lie. The people who are out there for Black Lives Matter, who were marching for freedom and justice, when they got locked up, folks paid their bails and their court fees for them. Where Trump and his crew at paying for y'all? Since you said you were there for your president, he invited you. That's what y'all said. He invited us. Why this cat ain't paying y'all court fees? But then again, he might not have enough money to pay his when it's finna come up, huh? Well, why don't he get some of his boys, you know? I'm just saying. And when the media start telling the truth, then y'all, what news reporter are you with? You with CNN? Y'all want to attack the media for telling the truth. You want to call the folks who protecting the government traitors. Because y'all ate them crazy whole potato chips again. Huh? Ain't nothing like a cold slap of reality. Psst. Or is it psst? Psst. Cold slap of reality. There is nothing like. My man saying, what movie was that? Chinese Connection or Fist of Fury, whichever one you want to call it. When he was in there watching the Jiggly Girl, he said, "Ain't never seen anything like this." Huh? Never seen anything like this, America. I know I haven't in my lifetime. Never seen anything like this. Folks are demonized for being mad because you killed a brother that you hadn't even arrested yet. Just killing underneath your knee. When you kill black folks all the time and people get fed up with that, they're demonized. But you cats who storm the Capitol talking about you patriots. You talking about hanging and killing folks. These poor folks say no justice, no peace. Give us justice. Y'all didn't want justice. Y'all just wanted to act like spoiled brats. Couldn't get your way, so you want to tear it up. That's not good. Then you want to say that America's a world leader. Well, over the last 4 years, where has America's leader been leading us to? From the look of things, if this cat would have stayed in, is to destruction. Those of you who stormed the Capitol proved that. And y'all doing all y'all can to try to get him to run again in 4 years. You senators in D.C. who just voted not to impeach Trump because y'all scared. Y'all scared to be put out of that seat. And it's not because y'all care about your constituency so much. You just care that you got the free health care and you got that loot coming in. It ain't because you care about the people you're supposed to be representing. Because if you truly cared about the people you were representing, you would have went back to your constituents and told them the truth. Because all of y'all probably had constituents who literally came up there in D.C. that could have killed you. But they don't know what all of y'all look like. Mike Pence jocked this dude for 4 years. And y'all still end up wanting to kill him. Because he told the truth. Because he did what a vice president was supposed to do when another administration is coming in. Y'all want to hang him and shoot him in the head. Mitch McConnell, 1 minute he was saying, Mr. President, you need to stop this and blah, blah, blah. But then you decide that you couldn't vote to impeach him. But yet, because all these cats are in flunky mode, they were waiting with bated breath to see what you were going to say when you say vote your own conscience. The point is, they ain't had no conscience. And you knew that when you told them that. They were waiting for you to tell them what to do. And you proved that you was conscienceless too. Lindsey Graham. And the rest of you cats. Only had 10 of them that had a moral compass. 10 Republicans. Then when you bring it home to Michigan right here, we still, over the last almost 30 years now, have had a super Republican legislature in Michigan. During which time we've had a Flint water crisis, a Detroit bankruptcy because the state took money from the city and never returned it. We've had Detroit schools going to bankruptcy because the state was running it and reshaped the way the thing works and split up the money and split the system up into two different things. We've watched mental institutions completely shut down, and those who should have been in mental hospitals become homeless, and live on the street. And again, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm an independent thinking brother. But I'm just telling you what I've seen. And a whole lot more. Took over the city of Highland Park. Put financial managers in there. And two of the three stole money. One, in particular, I know got locked up. I ain't sure about the second one. But I know that first one that stole money got locked up. Watch schools get closed. Adult college programs get cut off. All of this during the time that there's been a super Republican legislature. All of the urban and black areas have caught hell. Unholy hell. Y'all like to say holy hell. Ain't no such thing as no holy hell. Unholy hell. The whole time these jaw-jacking jokers have been in these positions. One after the other, doing the exact same thing. And then on occasion, you have a couple Democrats that sold out too. Some of them participated in the school takeover too. Had some strong-arming folks to put their election literature in their establishments. And I'm quite sure the same kind of stuff is going on around the country. Excuse me. Throat getting dry. And it goes back to what I said in the beginning. Folks hate themselves. Hate their people. Hate people of color. For no justifiable reason. Well, they on welfare. Welfare wasn't made for black folks. It was made for white folks. They're going to take our jobs. Well, you didn't want them jobs anyway. And you should have made it easier for us to teach our own so that we could have created our own jobs amongst ourselves. Then you wouldn't have to worry. Y'all could have made your own jobs and we'd have had our own jobs and everybody would have been straight. That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tried to do. Separation. We ain't got to be up in y'all face. If y'all ain't got to be up in our face, just get out the way. James Brown said, I don't want nobody giving me nothing. Just open up the door so I can get it myself. In other words, get out the way. Move the blockades. Move the stockades. Get out the way. Move. Get out the way. Get out the way. Huh? But it takes us to love ourselves to have enough sense to know how to deal with it. See, other nationalities of folks say they have a business. They can tell their children what to go to school for. Say one might go to school for accounting. The other one would be there for bookkeeping. The other one took management. Huh? And all of them together run those businesses that their parents established for them. As opposed to our people, your parent can have a business. I don't want to work in that mess. That ain't what I want to do. And then you end up doing nothing but hoping your parent dies so you can take over their stuff. When you wasn't there paying attention and learning how it's supposed to go. And didn't go to school for nothing so that you can make the stuff flourish. Didn't take no marketing classes so that you could keep up with the times, so you could keep marketing the business to a whole new group of clientele. But you think you're supposed to get your parents' stuff. I need to take y'all spoiled, dusty, crusty butts somewhere else and sit down. Because you don't have no love in you. Then you got children, your parents reach out to you. Ask you to call them. Ask you, let me know you're all right. You don't even want to do that. Then if they cut your butt off, then you're going to say they was wrong. Because you want to hold some grudge. You better get over yourself and quit tripping. Then you got these cats who got this false sense of my mama, my mama, my mama, my mama, my mama. And when your mama was here, you was a drain on your mama. Grow up and show some love to one another. This is the Hodo Show and the Other Viewpoint, being brought to you by RCE Notary. RCE Notary. Right here in southeastern Michigan, inside the city of Detroit, Wayne County. They work Wayne County, Oakland County, southeastern Michigan. RCE Notary, you need those documents stamped so they can make sure that they have the right credibility. RCE Notary, a mobile notary. If you want them to come to you, 248-861-9212. 248-861-9212, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. RCE Notary, the mobile notary. 248-861-9212. RCE Notary. Again, this is, of course, the Hodo Show and the Other Viewpoint. And I know it's getting close to that time. And, you know, I want to thank those of you who tuned in tonight, even if you didn't call in. And if you want to do some check-ins, and for those of you who don't know what check-ins are, for years I did this thing where I played a little music, and folks would just call in and say, I'm checking in, Hodo, at the end of the program. And I actually got that from the late brother Kwame Kenyatta, and he was doing that. I just had taken it to a different level when I started doing it, and I would hope to get it going again, but, you know, it is what it is. I think y'all just like hearing me talk, and I don't like talking that much like I do. See, I talk all this time on Sunday, then during the week I be quiet. You see, I don't be want to say nothing. Then folks during the week be like, hold on, say something, man, hold on, say something, man. Why you want to talk to me, man? Hold on, why you want to talk? You was talking all Sunday, but you want to talk to me now? Because y'all done talked me out during the weekend. You see, on Sunday nights, I'm talked out, man. Again, I want to thank all of y'all who tuned in tonight. And, oh, there we go. Pushing the wrong button. Anyway, I want to thank each and every one of you who tuned in tonight, and thank those of you who've been with me through the years. And soon we're going to start bringing some guests on, do some interviews. I'm just trying to make sure the audience is built up. And I wanted y'all to get used to calling in because I want y'all, maybe y'all don't want to talk to me. Maybe y'all will talk to the guests when I start having guests. But anyway, start calling in so that you'll be able to catch up with your brother. And, this Facebook stuff is all right. Y'all leave all those comments and I see that you're watching and all that stuff. That's cool. But there's nothing like the real thing. And that is hearing your voice and have some vocal discourse and interaction with one another. That's always the best thing for yours truly, because that's from whence I came, from broadcast, radio, and TV and stuff. I like talking to the people. I may be talking at you right now. I'd rather talk to you. That ain't cool, you see. I want some interaction. You see, back and forths. That kind of thing. So, as per usual, I must remind you that pride goes before destruction. Now, when I say pride, I ain't talking about the egotism. I'm talking about that thing that gives you the ability to have some dignity inside yourself. See, when your dignity diminishes and you're willing to do any old thing, you're headed for destruction. So pride goes before you destroy. Pride goes before destruction. So please, don't lose your pride, your dignity, because it ain't no trouble, baby bubble. Just say it loud, and I mean real loud. I'm black and I'm proud. And do something to be proud of. Don't just be out here espousing stuff. Actually live it. And if by chance you're not black and you're doing something of good to help humanity, help your family, you'll be proud too. For the Hodo Show and the other Viewpoint, I am your brother, if there is no other. I'm Hodo. Who are you? See you next Sunday.
To WGOD on the 7-day station, beholding a manifestation. It's count to 3.
And I always gotta give props to my brother Legion for co-wrote as we co-wrote this song together.
I am your brother, if there is no other. I'm Hodo. Who are you? Calling you on the air. Can you handle it? I don't think you really want to know. I'll tell you later. Call it. You on the air? Thank you, little brother. Not only is the beat on time, but it also has something for your mind. Because we've been waiting to get together for so long, but we just couldn't seem to find the right song to come together on. Cause you're on the air.
We just say step to the right. Come on, we just say step to the left. Yeah, we just say now break it down. We just say now rise it up. Now rise. Now rise.
Here's another hot joint for the 004. Legion!
All my queens, put your hands in the air. All my kings, put your hands in the air. All my queens, put your hands in the air. All my kings, put your hands in the air. Now walk with me.
The hot joint for the 004. Legion!
We just step to the left. What a brother know. Radio. 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 You tuned in to WGOD, 7-Day Station.
This is the Hodo Show and the other Viewpoint. And I am your brother, if there is no other. I'm Hodo. Who are you? Here we go! For the Hodo Show. Been done! Been done! Been done! Now pat your pockets. Are you still broke? It's about time. Put something on your mind. Been done! Been done!
I-T-Y. You and I-T-Y.
Now pat your pockets.
I-T-Y.
Are you still broke?
It's time to rise. 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 You and I-T-Y.
Now pat your pocket. Are you still broke?
It's time to rise. It's time to rise. It's time to rise. It's time to rise. You and I-T-Y.
Pat your pockets. Are you still broke?
You and I-T-Y. It's time to rise. You and I-T-Y. It's time to rise. It's time to rise.
Pat
It's
your
time to
pockets.
rise. It's time to rise.
Are you
It's
still
time to
broke?
rise. It's time to rise. It's time